Welcome, everybody, to Geunth. This part is going to be discussing the world of Geunth, starting with its history, then going to its current five nations slash cultures, the major cultures in the world, and then we're going to be talking about the different races that are also in Geunth. So first for the history, Geunth started out as a normal planet with people, just normal humans. They got to the point in life where they had started developing robots called automatons that would take care of lots of major working things. They were factory workers, they were servants, and eventually Automo, the main automaton manufacturer, found that there was this strange, other dimension that was overlapping their planet. So, using various bits of technology, they managed to create a portal to the other side, which was a mirror dimension, in which the thoughts and general societal psyche from the real world was replicated over in the other side. And there was magic over there, and the technology was vastly improved, and gods existed, and Automo felt like that was a good chance to expand, and so they attempted to attack, and they failed. And in retaliation, the other side opened up large portals that let the air in the other side seep into the real world. And the air in the other side was not humans could not breathe the air that was in the other side. So, over the next few years, this gas spread and killed millions of people that were in the real world. And people from the other side also started to immigrate to the real world, and so the original humans really got pushed down. And then when the portals were opened as well, the other side magic influenced the real world a little bit and granted automatons sentience, and they were able to breathe in the gas perfectly fine. So automatons became the main race for a little bit. And then 500 years go by, all the humans became extinct, and they mutated, and they attempted different ways to survive. So now there are 500 years after the apocalypse, called the Reckoning. There is now 5 great cultures. The first one is the Waste, which is it's in the location of the origin of the Reckoning. So most of the plants have died. It's become a large desert. Most people who live there they only live there to get away from the other cultures and to live on their own and be independent. It's similar to Mad Max. Just a large desert. Everything's kind of rusted and do it yourself. People tend to prefer reliable pistols and guns that are ballistic in nature. It's pretty diverse, but people tend to be very self-reliant and pretty steadfast in the wastes. Up north of the wastes is the Mountains of Air. The Mountains of Air, the people had escaped the gas because the gas was heavier than oxygen. So they were able to move up into the mountains to avoid breathing the gas. So they lived up there for a little bit, and then they started developing technology to harness the gas and use it in different machines. So they have very similar to steampunk, but with this poisonous gas. And they have blimps and lots of different kind of mechanical technology. They also in the Mountains of Air is the Cathedral, which is a major automaton, breeding ground, basically. It's just a factory that makes automatons. And then over to the west of Mountains of Air is the Clock Kingdom, which harnessed the magic from the other side and built defenses to try and keep the gas away. And so they do a lot of magitech. They basically adapted the current technology and turned magic and replicated the current technology. So they have cars that are fueled with magical energy and guns that are using magic. Very similar to Eberron in kind of the technology level. And those three are the northern kind of nations. There's a small split between those three and the bottom two. So the wastes and the neon jungle are almost connected. They have a small gap between them of water. The neon jungle, which is south of the wastes, is a very large city spanning hundreds of miles. It was very unaffected by the reckoning. They managed to put up enough safeguards to kind of neutralize it, so their technology had not fallen behind at all. So the neon jungle was able to produce laser weapons and flying vehicles and larger robots, and they're very much like cyberpunk. They have large corporations that are in control of different districts, and they produce a lot of technology. And then to the west of the neon jungle and straight south of the wastes is the birthplace, which currently has, it's a large swampland with a lot of different scientific laboratories. Over the 500 years, it housed many genetic experiments, which gave birth to several of the races in the world. Most of the experimentations were made to try and give humans the ability to breathe in the gas, but most of those had failed. So those are the 5 major nations, and I'll quickly go through the races, and then you should be able to understand most of the terminology in these videos and these podcasts. So I'll go in alphabetical order. These are the 12 main races in the world. There, of course, are other races who are but they are more uncommon. So first up is automaton. As explained before, they are humanoid robots who used to be kind of enslaved by humans, and then they gained dominance shortly after the reckoning. Currently, they are starting to run out of parts in the cathedral and other factories, so a lot of newer automatons are more skeletal, as they don't have much of their parts. Next up is Barada. Barada is a person from the other side who is made of slime. They come from the perception that people lie about who they are and that people have 2 faces, and they are able to put on masks and transform into the form of the mask. So if they put on a automaton shaped mask, they can turn into an automaton. Next is ferals, which are animal-human hybrids that were created in the birthplace. This encompasses lots of different things, classic D&D races such as Tabaxi or lupins. Anything that kind of is slightly animalistic in nature falls under feral. And at first they were regarded as very high and powerful, and then they started being ridiculed by society, and now they take up a lot of they encompass a lot of society, and they're treated normally. Next up is forefolk. This is the natural result of humans. Humans over the 500 years were able to adapt very quickly and evolve very quickly to their surroundings. So forefolk, most humans, their nose shrank into their skull, so much of the cartilage is gone. So they have a flat face, and their skin also changed color to suit whichever environment they were in. So some have like light blue, and somehow like have a dark brown. and some are dark black. And Forefolk also gain different abilities based on where they were living. So Forefolk from the ocean can breathe underwater. Forefolk living underground have a superior dark vision. Each kind of colony of Forefolk got a different ability. Next is Gyptia. Gyptias are from the other side as well, and they kind of represent the strangeness that humans experienced and kind of the oddities of nature. Gyptias are humanoid. They have a chitinous body, and in that chitin is a bunch of liquid. It's more like a blob, very similar to a cell. So it's basically a very large cell, and coming out the top of its body, the cell pops out a little bit and forms kind of a bubble with a single eye that can also split into multiple eyes and look in multiple directions. Because the Gyptias don't have any mouths or anything, they have psychic powers, which they can, whenever they speak, it basically broadcasts it into the brains of anyone nearby into their native language. Gyptias can also, they have some limited telepathy to pick up nearby objects and lift themselves up and fly as well. Next is Kaligni, another race from the other side. Kaligni represents the fear of the dark and other kind of dangerous situations. They look like tall, deep black demons with long horns that are usually different colors. Usually it's red. They can also be purple, green, blue, and they also have like deep eyes of various colors as well. Often they walk on all fours. That's kind of, they're naturally quadrupedal, but they are able to stand on their hind legs and use weapons, much like the other races. Next are the Geunth, who originate from when humans in the mountains of air were trapped in the gas. Some spirits came and bonded with them in order to help them survive. And the Geunth are the descendants of those spirit and human hybrids, and they have become people who have basically two souls that are combined together, and usually they look like people who can manifest a form of spirit out from them. Usually it's something like find familiar. Sometimes it can be even stronger if they're like a beast master or some sort of summoner. They might be able to summon out their own spirit to help fight alongside them. Next is mutts, which are made in the birthplace. They were people who were genetically modified so much that they started evolving as they were living their own life naturally. They often evolved based on the experiences they had. So if a mutt had gotten burned heavily as a child, he would develop fire resistance later in life. They start out looking similar to humans, but as they grow up, they tend to diversify very drastically. Next is Nari. Nari are faceless people. They tend to have hoods over them to kind of cover up most of their body. They have two eyes that can be seen, but they don't have any mouths or kind of any particular form of their kind of face. They if they don't have any clothes on, they look more like a deep black void being, and they're extremely light, and it's very hard to kind of read what they're thinking. They are from the other side, and they represent kind of anonymity and kind of the crowds where you see people on the street and you don't really know their story. You don't really see them as a person. You just see them as a background. And so in the other side, Nari tend to fill up space. And they tend to just kind of be created by the other side to give other people something to look at. And then once anyone interesting is gone, the Nari tend to just disappear. Next is Scala. Scalas are people who have gained a connection to the other side, and they gain the ability to, in their dreams, they basically gets sent to their kind of spirit gets sent into the other side as they're dreaming, and the other side kind of manifests experiences to them that actually affect them. So some of them like dream of being chased by monsters, and as they're dreaming these things, their real life body starts changing to try and protect themselves from their dream. So if they're running from monsters, they might wake up and have an increased movement speed and longer limbs, and kind of more aerodynamic abilities. And the abilities are very wide. They look a little bit like elves. They have slightly pointed ears. They're usually skinnier than other races, but they're pretty average. It's mostly that they have pointed ears and just kind of a little bit lankier than normal humans were. Next is Spriggan, which are plants that were genetically modified, much like ferals. So kind of any sort of plant person, kind of like there's treants basically, and dryads, any of those kind of like plants turned humanoid fall under Spriggan, as they were kind of created to try and give some way for humanity to survive. And finally, last race is a Tamago. They are small, furry eggs, basically. They are, on average, about 2.5 to 3 feet tall. They have a thin layer of fur on them, and they're very squishy, and they have the kind of the general shape of an egg with kind of short and stout kind of limbs. They were created a few decades ago by a scientist in the birthplace who was experimenting with cloning, and they became pets for a very long time until a Tamago civil rights movement kind of freed them and let them live as normal citizens. But they still kind of have people tend to still be racist towards them and consider them to be overly cute and harmless, no matter what they can do as a person. So those are the races and the places of Geunth. Hopefully you enjoy the current campaign, if this audio track is attached to one of the campaigns, or if you're watching this on a video by itself, please look at some of the campaigns that have been uploaded once they do get uploaded, and hopefully you can enjoy the stories.